On Overdrive today, feast your eyes on Lamborghini's very first plug-in hybrid supercar. We pit the super similar Maruti Suzuki Invicto against the Toyota Innova Hycross and bring you a luxury home on wheels. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Dutt. Lamborghini has launched a successor to the Aventador, which is called the Revuelto in India. Now, the biggest talking point about this supercar is that it has a hybrid powertrain and it is priced at 9 crore rupees. It is already sold out till 2026. So let's find out what makes this so irresistible.
Now, if you thought electrification and emission regulations would tone down all the drama around Lamborghini, of course, that's not the case. And the new Revuelto further proves that point. It's the replacement to the Aventador and the first ever hybrid Lamborghini. Now, the Revuelto still looks crazy with all those angular elements that you know from a Lamborghini. But there's a lot more to it. Everything underneath is now different. There's a new carbon fiber mono fuselage that's completely different from the Aventador to fit in all the electrical components. But coming back to the outside, you realize that all these Y-shaped elements, they're much more pronounced now. And a lot of this inspiration, at least on the front, Lamborghini says, comes from the Murcielago. Now coming back to the chassis, the battery pack is placed behind, inside. We'll show you that later. But what you do get is a lot of carbon fiber in the front end. And there are two electric motors right here, which make about 350 Newton meters and 110 kilowatts. That's about 150 PS each. The crazy cuts and creases still incorporate all the cooling and aerodynamic requirements of a complex hybrid powertrain. The silhouette of the Revuelto is now quite different from that of the Aventador. The longer rear section is more reminiscent of the Diablo, and the engine is still on display like before. The exaggerated Y elements and a few more intricate aerodynamic tricks continue at the rear, as do a massive set of exhaust tips. Now, the best thing about this hybrid is that it still gets a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12, but it's not related to the one in the Aventador. It's new, light and far more compact. But it still makes 825 PS and 725 Newton meters. And combined with the three electric motors, the two that I told you at the front, and there's another one here, it makes a combined 1015 PS, which also means that this Revuelto will go from 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds and reach a 350 kmph top speed. Among other changes, significant changes, there's a new 8-speed DCT, and for maybe the second time in the history of these V12 Lamborghinis, it's now mounted transversely in the car's structure. The 3.8 kWh battery pack also lets the Revuelto drive short distances on electric power alone. And there's no reverse gear. The front motors are used for this, while the rear motor is a starter and then used to either recover energy or add to the V12's performance with the front motors. The new architecture has carved out more space in the cabin of the Revuelto, and the ambience is now a much higher end one. There's a completely new interface with the crisp floating 12.3-inch driver's screen, the central 8.4-inch touchscreen and a 9.1-inch passenger display. As before, the switchgear and layout continue with that fighter jet-like theme, but now with easily accessed controls on the steering wheel, the central bank highlighted by the flat starter button, and a smart continuous shift function for the gearbox. Now, the Lamborghini Revuelto is priced from Rs 8.89 crore ex-showroom. Of course, you can add all kinds of options to it, then the sky's the limit.
You've had a very good response to the Revuelto, and you've also seen it sold out till 2026. But what is the response you've got from India per se, from the supercar enthusiasts here, especially given that it is a hybrid sports car?
Well, also in India we had a similar response that we had in Asia Pacific and worldwide, so amazing, actually overwhelmed by the feedback from fans, media and customers. Like you said, sold out till 2026, same as for India as well.
Given it's a long waiting period for India per se, when will we see the delivery start in India?
So for the Revuelto, sometime during the Q2 2024 is when we will start delivering the first cars in the market. and we are pretty excited, and we are waiting eagerly for those moments, because the kind of response this car has got from the market since the time we unveiled this globally, is really very encouraging.
You can also watch a longer duration of the chat with Sharad Agarwal, head of Lamborghini India, as well as Francesco Scaradowni, who is the APAC director of Lamborghini, to know more about the brand's plans with the Revuelto as well as other products. We'll take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we pit two of the most similar premium MPVs against each other. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. The Maruti Suzuki Invicto and the Toyota Innova Hycross are as similar as two cars can get. So where does the difference lie, and which car should you put your money on? Let's find out.
We've driven the Toyota Innova Hycross quite a few times now, and in a wide range of situations, it's proved every bit worthy of the Innova name. But could its biggest challenge be coming from within the fold? The Maruti Suzuki Invicto promises everything to do that the Innova can, but with the added assurance of the country's largest car maker behind it. So is there more to it than just the branding? An SUV like big grille and high bonnet are what buyers want in their three-row cars these days, and the Toyota Innova Hycross does enough to stand out on the road with this. But look at the two MPVs together, and Maruti Suzuki seems to have pulled one off here. The Invicto catches your eye first with its bolder grille treatment. It's not gaudy but fits in just right with the twin chrome bands extending into the shared lighting. The more intricate detailing of the grille also works with this, and we also think that the 3-segment Nexa light signature stands out more than the simple DRLs in the Hycross. But you lose out on fog lamps in the Maruti, and the Toyota does reclaim some ground with its more aggressive detailing in the bumper. Both MPVs carry on with the SUV inspiration in profile with the sculpted bodywork and the sleeker glass area and roofline. But you get 18-inch wheels with the Hycross in its top trims, giving the car a more proportioned look. The Invicto again is flashier with its dual-tone alloy design, but these don't quite fill the wheel wells as effectively. You have the 3-segmented look from the front repeated again at the rear of the Invicto, while the Innova again seems to go for a more familiar theme with the horizontal lighting. You get a functional boot in both though. There's space for a couple of overnighters with all rows up, but the load lip is low and the space is wide and flat when the third row is folded down. Now it's evident that the basic layout of the dash is identical in the two cars here, but we think the Toyota does it a bit better, the tan sort of contrasting this all black look in the Invicto and giving it that slightly more upmarket feel, that slightly more premium feel. But that being said, the level of quality that you get here is really quite nice for the price that you pay for these cars. For example, these materials are more or less soft. The plastic is that typically hard wearing, almost industrial feel that you get from a Toyota, feels like it'll last forever. Same with the panels here and even the door cards. So overall it's very well made. But the thing that we really like, which we keep coming back to whenever we drive one of these cars, is the way the central panel is laid out. The part digital instrumentation is easy to navigate and has a bright display, while good thought has been given to practicality too. It's a welcome change from the norm to see hard buttons for most functions. The dash-mounted gear selector falls to hand easily, especially during U-turns, and there are deep storage bins all around. You also have both Type A and C charge ports. That said, the 10.1-inch touchscreen system leaves quite a bit to be desired. It feels dated with its bleak display that catches glare easily and limited functions. You only have wireless connectivity for Apple CarPlay, but the Invicto compounds this less than ideal experience with its 6-speaker audio system. The JBL branded 9-speaker unit in the Toyota does better, but is still not as nice as competitors. Now, one of the main reasons why you might prefer the Innova Hycross over the Invicto is for the second row, where the two cars really do differentiate themselves. Not by much, but it's a noticeable difference. To start with, of course, you know that the space here and the adjustability, the amount of space that you can carve out for yourself is great. As you can see, there's a big degree of adjustment available to you. And like earlier, the battery pack sort of always gets in your way when you want to say, if you are especially tall and you want to rest your feet, it's a bit of a hassle finding a place to do that. But other than that, the large windows, the big panoramic sunroof, this sunshade, which by itself is a great feature for our conditions, really just makes a really comforting place to spend time in. And now coming to the amenities that you have here, again there's a sizable amount of it. You have this armrest, and of course these are the Innova's party tricks, so to speak. The powered seat back adjustment, which works well if a bit slowly. But yeah, what will really get people talking is these ottomans, these powered ottomans. And yeah, while they do help you with that, lifting your feet up, and they generally are quite comfortable, they also seem to add to the under thigh support that is there. So there's a noticeable difference in that aspect because of these protruding sort of squabs. So in that respect, if you want comfort, then this is the place for you. The top Maruti Suzuki Invicto Alpha Plus seen here is effectively placed between the Hycross's VXO and ZX variants. So both get a fairly long list of features as seen here. In terms of safety, the Innova has a significant edge with its level 2 ADAS functions that work well enough in our conditions. Safety features available on both include TPMS, 360-degree cameras, front and rear parking sensors, hill hold and an electronic parking brake. Now you don't get the fancy powered adjustment for the second row in the Invicto, but that actually makes life easier for the third row passengers, because all you need to do is pull this one lever and the seat tilts and slides forward, and then it's pretty easy for you to just step in and fit yourself into the back seat of the Invicto. Now, compared to how it is in the Innova, you do feel a bit more hemmed in, again because of this darker color scheme. But otherwise, all the positives that we've said so far of the Innova earlier in our earlier reviews holds true here. Coming to the comfort here, which is always a big talking point, you do feel a decent amount of under-thigh support, as much as you can expect in a third row. So while it's not great as much, nowhere close to what it would be in the front two rows, it's still comfortable. You can do a reasonably long journey here, even if you're an adult. The hybrid system is identical in both and seems to function as such. There is a 2-litre Atkinson cycle petrol motor that puts out 154 PS and 190 Nm, paired with a 113 PS and 206 Nm electric motor, with an eCVT in the mix for a combined 186 PS. You usually start in electric power, but the petrol motor fires up quickly enough once you start picking up speed. Here the electric motor and engine work cohesively to keep moving you along. The system does a commendable job of optimizing both powertrains to not make the whole thing feel unnatural. The CVT does well enough to meld the two outputs together, especially with the torque from the e-motor filling in here. Still, there's not quite the immediacy you want when you're looking to make up speed during an overtake in comparison to a torquey diesel, as our rolling acceleration times show. There is a power mode and a sport mode for the gearbox that does amp up the sense of urgency notably, making these MPVs brisk in outright acceleration. With the Hycross running a slightly larger, wider tyre, you notice that this one, on a winding stretch of road like this, handles a touch better, so you feel a bit more connected to the car with the steering. The steering feels a touch more direct, especially if you're going a bit quicker. It seems to turn a bit easier, especially as you pick up speed. But there is a flip side to it. For example, over a rough patch, like we've encountered a few on our shoot today, the Maruti does a better job of ironing out, say, a rough surface or maybe even a few small potholes, so it just smoothens it out a touch more. Broadly speaking, in terms of how these two cars ride and handle, they're really quite good for being such large 7-seater cars. They are broadly pretty decent. So even the Innova, for example, generally in isolation is a pretty pliant car. We also put the two MPVs through a real-world fuel efficiency test, and no surprise, the two cars were close to each other. The differences you see are probably down to driving styles and charge levels in the hybrid system's battery. This can affect mileage notably, as our earlier experience suggests, but on this occasion that wasn't the case. The Toyota Innova Hycross in its top ZXO variant seen here is priced at Rs 36.56 lakh on road, while the Maruti Suzuki Invicto Alpha Plus costs Rs 33.40 lakh on road. We think these two cars are too similar to go wrong with either. The hybrid powertrain, build and cabin layout are strong points in both. The Maruti Suzuki grabs more attention and is more comfortable, but the Toyota justifies its added price convincingly with an overall more premium experience in the cabin that the added features and color choices bring.
If you're looking for an adventure on wheels but in the luxury confines of your home, then don't worry because JCBL RV has it covered for you with the Signature RV. Stay with us, you're watching Overdrive. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. The JCBL RV brand has been founded by the JCBL Group, which has a prominent 3-decade footing in mobility solutions in India. Now, they have founded the JCBL Signature RV, which is the epitome of luxury on wheels. Check it out.
For those of you who like to head out outdoors, go out camping, get out into the wild, well, here is something new that's coming up very strongly. I'm here today, here to check out new, probably one of the finer recreational vehicles I've seen, which is standing right behind me. And this has been designed and developed by JCBL, who are well known in the industry for making for their coachwork as well as engineering solutions for multiple mobility solutions as for that matter. Now, this one right behind me is one of India's first recreational vehicles. Now this RV right behind me, well, this has been developed on a Bharat-Benz chassis. Now the chassis length is about 10 meters long, but you can well get multiple chassis depending on what your requirements are, depending on well where you want to use it, its purposes, where you want to take it to. All of those elements will be considered, and then accordingly they will customize the RV body onto the chassis that you would pick up. Now in length, this is close to about almost 17 to 18 meters long, and you've got about 7 to 8 meters in height. There are extendable appendages on this. Like you can see, this is an awning, it's a retractable awning. You also got a central cabin that can extend outside, increasing the cabin space. Now, this extensively uses electronics and hydraulics, well, to get various things to pop out, come out, and make it a little more convenient for use. For instance, the stairs, well, those retract back into the cabin as well, after which the door shuts. The central cabin area as well, that will also go in, will recede in, and of course, then you've got the necessary length to drive this through to any place, any location within India for that matter. Under here are the storage bins. This is where you can keep all of your large luggage when it's not required inside the cabin spaces. This is where the generator sits in. As you can see, it's got a silent generator, and there are 2 of these. Now this will run, or rather allow all the electronics, takes the load of even the air conditioning system that is there inside the RV. In addition, it also takes the load of the motor that runs the water system that's running through this entire RV. Of course, that's the driver's cabin, and if you choose to well drive this on your own, you just need to make sure that you get a heavy vehicle license, and that will allow you to drive this yourself. If not, well, you definitely need an attendant and a driver to operate everything and to well manage the bus. Come on in with me. Let me show you what the interiors look like. Now these are attendant seats right here. As you can see, there's sound bar put in over there. You can see there are individual screens along with the noise cancelling headphones provided, and these are customizable for each and every seat inside this RV. Let me quickly take you inside further in. This is the main living space. This is been extended, of course, so you've got this larger width cabin out here, fairly big in space. These are seats that can be rotated to whichever position you want. Makes for a fantastic and cozy, of course, conversation area. Big large sofa. All of these elements inside here. Now, all of these are customizable. You can specify what you would require, and JCBL would construct it well to your specifications to satisfy your needs and requirements. This uses a special paper that comes from Europe, and effectively this can be washed clean. Just take a wet sponge to it, rub through, and get the surface clean. Very large cabin with large glass areas, and that allows a lot of sunlight to come into this space. But in case you want your privacy, then well, a remote will get the blinds down for you. As you move further behind, well, we've got a small kitchen area out here with a wash basin, and of course anything, and there's a power outlet as well, where you can connect any electrical appliances. You've got a microwave, you've got a refrigerator, you've got drawers to store whatever you need, and of course these cabinets right on top over here. These additionally can be used to store food items, anything that you need for a journey into the wild. All of this has been fixed, so you cannot move these. They won't budge, which means they'll stay stationary when you're on the move. They're not going to roll around or fall off or tip off anywhere. That ensures that things are in place and it's a safe cabin. At this end is the washroom. I quite like this. A fairly large space, fairly large area. You've got a basin, you've got an electronic seat, a pot out there, and of course a shower area as well. Now again, all of this can be customized depending on what your requirements are. You can make this a larger area or a smaller area as well. Further behind are the lounge and sleeping quarters. Let me take you to that area as well. So in here, this is essentially the bedroom, or it can also be used as a lounge. You've got a television screen, you've got a table area as well. So this retracts. You can either have your dinner in here or just sit down, chill with friends, watch some television. When it's time to sleep, you've got a retractable bunk bed. In addition, this sofa also converts into a double bed. This cushion can of course just be placed on top of that, and there you've got your sleeping quarters in place. Large bay windows and lots of sunlight streaming into this, so if you had to wake up in the morning to a fantastic view, this would be the place to do it from. The cost of this RV now, in all, with these modifications, with these additions, with these enhancements and all these luxury fittings, it comes to about 1.5 CR, which isn't very expensive if you ask me. This is a fairly good asking price for something that is very unique, that stands out, and is a very comfortable living quarter, especially if you're on the move.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with us through our various social media platforms, and you can follow our latest videos on YouTube. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.